I think the hands are the windows into the soul. I think what we underestimate is the power of our gestures. Love it. Just love it. Just those jazz hands, those jazz hands. So I want to do a little experiment with you. Okay. So I'm going to put my hands in my lap. I've been very careful to leave my hands on the table for the entire interview. That's on purpose. Now, something funny happens in your brain when you can't see my hands. And the longer my hands are underneath the table, the more your amygdala will begin to fire. And the more distracted you become with, where are her hands? Why are her hands under the table? And the moment I bring my hands back out again, your brain goes, and that is because hands show intention. And this makes sense from an evolutionary perspective. So if we go back to caveman days, if we were approached by a stranger caveman and they went, friend, 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 we saw they weren't carrying a rock or a spear and they were probably a friend. In fact, when we go, so nice to meet you, we can see someone's hand, we know that they're literally not gonna harm us. So our brain still keeps this mechanism that if we're on video and we can't see someone's hands, or they walk into an office with their hands in their pockets or behind their back, we feel a little bit uneasy. So there's two things for this. First is the moment someone first sees you, you wanna be friend, friend, friend. Good to see you. Oh, so nice to meet you.
What, put your hand up for people that can't see?
The moment I walk into a room, hey, nice to see you. Even before I handshake, even an old friend, I'll be like, oh my gosh, so good to see you. On Zoom, morning. Hey, team.
For people that can't see, she's basically putting her hand in the air.
Which is like a little wave.
A little wave.
We love a palm. As humans, we love seeing someone's palm. There's something about it that makes us feel like, they're literally open palmed. So that's the first. In the first few seconds of someone seeing you, in person, on video, try to flash your palm. Very, very simply. Second, we understand competence in two ways. Very highly competent people know their content so well, they can speak to you on two tracks. They can speak to you verbally, but they also can speak to you with their hands. This is why we love picture books as kids. And so when someone is speaking, we're listening to their words. But second, we're looking, are their hands outlining their words? So for example, all the best TED Talks start the same way. And this is what got me my TED Talk, is we studied all the TED Talks from 2010, looking for patterns. And my team and I coded every TED Talk we can find, looking for differences between the most viral TED Talks and the least viral TED Talks. We found that the most viral TED speakers used an average of 465 hand gestures in 18 minutes, whereas the least popular TED Talkers used an average of 271 gestures, so not quite half. Meaning, if someone walks on stage, here's a really good TED Talk. They all start this way. You ready? Today, I want to talk to you about a big idea. We're going to share 3 different things that are going to change your life. So for people listening, I was outlining with my hands along with my words. If I were to get on stage and say, today I have a really big idea, it's huge, and hold up my hands in a really small way, your brain is 12.5 times more likely to believe my gesture over my words. And so what we can do as speakers, as very highly charismatic speakers, is think about how can I outline, very basically, not modern dance, what I'm saying, or how can I emphasize things with my gestures? If something is big, show me. Is it beach ball big? Is it, what is this big? Donkey big? Is this a donkey? I don't even know.
Yeah, most donkeys.
But a goat?
Yeah.
A goat? This is a goat big. If you have something that's really small and no big deal, doing this actually helps you think that it's not a big deal. I'm making a little kind of dismissive gesture with my hand. This also works with emphasizing points you want people to remember. If you have 3 ideas, tell someone you have 3 ideas. It is very hard to lie with our gestures. For example, you want to do a little experiment with me?
Sure.
Okay, I want you to say 5, but hold up the number 3.
5.
Hard, right?
Yeah.
So it's really hard for
I had to think about them separately.
Yeah, it's really hard. Our brain is not meant to lie with gesture, which is why humans pay so close attention to gestures. Because we're looking to see, are they congruent? It is so hard to be incongruent with their gestures. Liars typically use less gestures. So we're also drawn to people who are using gestures, who are congruent with their gestures, because it makes us feel like, oh, they know their stuff and they're being honest.
So it made me reflect. How do we establish causation here in terms of these hand gestures? Could it be the case that the more confident TED speakers are doing more gestures because they're less nervous?
Mm-hmm.
So is it about nerves? And the less confident, more nervous TED speakers are doing less gestures just because they're self-soothing a lot and they're kind of closing off their body. Is confidence the thing here? Is it nerves?
I don't think so. I think it's about engagement. So I think most TED speakers, and I watch these TED Talks, they're all good. All of them are good, and some of them are experts in their field. The difference is, do I want to watch their good? It is hard for me as a viewer to pay attention for 18 minutes with someone who didn't use enough gestures. It was like physically hard for my brain to pay attention. I think those speakers, whether good or not, had over-rehearsed and rehearsed out their hand gestures, or were holding a podium, or were holding a clicker too hard. So I actually think that it's less to do with the speaker's nerves or confidence, and it's more to do with, are they gonna let themselves use their hands to explain their points, and that becomes more engaging.
One of the things I've noticed on this podcast is people who are using their hands are more expressive. And if they're more expressive, there's likely to be more sort of intonations in their voice. And if there's more intonations, it's more engaging. And if it's more engaging, then it's more retentive for the algorithm. And if it's more retentive for the algorithm, it's suggested more. If it's suggested more, there's more views.
Yes.
So I would like to tell my guests, all the past and particularly future guests, that if you have more expression in what you're saying and more intonations in your voice, then our show will grow.
Okay. Let's talk about two things here. One is we did a test on my YouTube channel and found that if we used a thumbnail of me doing any hand gesture, it didn't even matter what it was. It could be this, it could be this, it could be this. Any hand gesture, that got more clicks. People even in the thumbnail like to see the hand gesture even more than my crazy facial expressions. We tried both. So yes, we are, because if you see a thumbnail of me, holding up two, you're like, well, what two things is she talking about? What is it? So we like it shows competence. And the second thing is that vocal variety is an incredibly important aspect of charisma. We're talking about gestures, but there is a feedback loop here. That the more, like if I were gonna sit on my hands for this interview, you would notice my facial expression would get less charismatic, my vocal tone would be less charismatic. It's really hard to be charismatic without movement. Vocal variety is a critical aspect of both warmth and competence. That is because when we hear someone who's able to, for example, give us the TED Talk voice. So I'm gonna give you the TED Talk voice. You ready? This point is going to change the way that we think about the world. And if we don't analyze this point, we will be in huge trouble. Like that is a voice that is telling you, ooh, this is important. You also hear that really good speakers will use like a numbers voice. So a numbers voice sounds like this. Did you know that 43% of humans all believe in the same thing? 43%. And then if you're telling a story, it changes again. So a story tone would go like this. You're never gonna believe what happened to me. So last week, I'm walking down the street and I saw this guy. It's a totally different vocal variety. That is a gift to your listener. That makes you more engaging because they're able to clock, oh, we're doing a number now. Oh, we have a story now. Oh, this is an important point, I better write it down. Really good TED speakers are outlining their talk for you in many different ways, and that's the best speakers I see on stage.
It's so interesting because in this podcast, we had quite a long conversation a couple of months ago about arms on the chair that you're in now. And it was just this observation we had when we first flew out here to New York. The chairs that we ordered were pretty similar to this, but they just happened to have arms on them. And what I noticed was that guests would lean. And it would take out their arms.
Yes.
So it took out their arms and they became less expressive and the conversations were less interesting.
Yes.
So we removed the arms again.
Okay, so let's talk about this just very briefly.
Yeah.
I actually do recommend chairs with arms, not in this setup, because look at the difference. So actually, right before this interview, you asked me to scoot my chair in, right? Your amazing team asked me to scoot my chair in. Thank you for that, because it makes it so that I want to put my hands up. If I were to be sitting farther back, I'm just gonna lean back for a second, I would be tempted to put my hands in my lap.
Yes.
So the critical piece of this is you're having me scoot up to the table. It would be really hard if I had arms, because then I would wanna go like this, and it would make me look like a duck.
Yes.
Right, so you wanna use a chair with arms to be broader. It actually does broaden your arms out, unless you're really close to the table and you can put your hands on the table. But it's amazing how the physical environment can change how we are perceived and how we move.
But even we're very intentional about the sort of mirroring of our body language and just making sure that we're head on, because this conversation is entirely different if we're side on.
Very much.
It's not going to be the same.
Very much.
And there's not going to be the same level of intimacy.
Yes.
We also thought a lot about how big the table was. This is quite a big table.
What's the distance?
I'm going to say it's about just shy of 2 meters.
Wait, can you hold your arm out? Okay, so this is perfect distance. The perfect distance between two people having a good conversation is that we could shake hands if we wanted to.
Okay.
And that is because there are 4 different proxemic zones. So the fancy word for space is proxemics. I don't know if you have that beautiful graphic.
I printed out this.
Yes, that's it, yes. So there are 4 different space zones, and these are really good to know if you're trying to set yourself up for success. The public zone is about 5 to 8 feet away. I don't know not feet, but 5 to 8 feet away. Then you have the social zone, which is where we like to socialize with people. That is, depending on who you ask, 3 to 5 feet away. Then there's the personal zone. That's our favorite zone. That is about arm's distance apart, right? So we could shake hands if we wanted to. That's where our best conversations happen. And then there's the intimate zone. A big mistake people make is they place their video camera too close to their face, which means they're accidentally signaling intimacy cues with their colleagues and their coworkers. Have you ever been on a Zoom with someone where their face is the entire camera?
Yeah, I was on one earlier on.
And you're like, please back up. And that is because your brain is going too close, even though they're across a camera. So what I would really recommend, measure the distance between your nose and your camera. It should be 1 arm length. So it should be the tip of your nose to the tip of your fingers, or 1.5 feet to 3 feet away. That is the ideal zone for having good conversation over Zoom.
That's really interesting as well, because I was thinking about the conversation I had actually on the way here in the car with a colleague of mine, and they had called me on FaceTime. Now, the thing with FaceTime is it's going to be close.
It's going to be close.
And it did feel a little bit intimate.
It does.
Because they called me on FaceTime.
Yes.
Obviously, if I was on my laptop, they would call me on Zoom or something else, and there would be a
Farther.
meter. Yeah.
So I think that's why we can sometimes, at least introverts, feel like, don't FaceTime me, it's way too personal. It's because there's a setup there that it's actually accidentally tricking you into being in the intimate zone with someone. This is also why loud bars and nightclubs work so well for facilitating romantic relationships. What happens in a loud bar or a loud nightclub is you can't hear someone. So you go, what? And then you get a little bit closer, and all of a sudden you're accidentally standing in someone's intimate zone, which then that cue cycle begins to kick in where you're like, well, if I'm standing within 1.5 feet from this person, maybe I should feel intimate with them, which then makes you lean in more, makes you want to touch more. That is why people go to bars and nightclubs to facilitate these romantic relationships. It's accidentally going into the intimate zone.
We just saw how something as simple as showing your hands can completely shift how people see you. It builds trust, shows confidence, and keeps your audience engaged. From ancient survival instincts to modern TED Talks and viral videos, gestures aren't just helpful, they're essential. Think about it. The most impactful speakers, the most watched videos, even the thumbnails that get clicked the most, all of them are using body language on purpose. So now I want to hear from you. Have you ever noticed how hand gestures affect how much you trust someone? Or maybe you've caught yourself tuning out when a speaker just stood still? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's start a conversation down there. And if you got value from this video, hit that like button. It really helps us reach more curious minds like yours. Make sure you subscribe and turn on the bell, because the next videos will dive even deeper into the science of influence, presence, and communication that actually works. This channel is here to help you grow. As a creator, a speaker, or simply someone who wants to connect more powerfully with the world. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you in the next one.